Hello, hello everyone. This is Caron, your independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And today, y'all, I'd like to welcome you in the craft room with Caron. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we seem to be a little off here. Give me a minute. Let's try to straighten this up for you. Okay, apologize for that. Hey guys, thanks again for joining me today for this craft room. Again, I am Caron Bailey, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm here to present for you today a Stampin' with Friends blog hop video. What is Stampin' with Friends, you might ask? Stampin' with Friends is a group of demonstrators that we get together and we have a theme twice a month, a minimum, and we create projects and have a blog hop based upon that theme. So I'm going to go ahead today and I'm going to create the video for you for that tutorial. So you can find the blog, the post over on my blog today. The blog will go live at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you are watching this video, it is after 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Well, let's just dive right in, you guys, and then we can talk about whatever we need to talk about afterwards. So let's just dive right in. So I am working with the Inked and Tiled bundle stamp set today. And as I told you guys before, this bundle, this collection is one of my focused products for the month of August. So almost everything that I touch this month is going to include this stamp set bundle suite in the collection. I'm also using one of the dies from the Something Fancy die set, and I'll share with you what that is as we move along. So this video today, we're going to be doing a little bit of die cutting. We're going to be doing some embossing. We're going to be doing a little bit of ink blending. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So let's again jump right in. So I have already done a lot of die cutting for us, so we don't have to spend time doing a lot of that. But there's a tip that I want to share with you. So there's some die cutting that I have not quite yet done. So let me share with you the parts and pieces that we are going to need for today's card. We're going to need some basic white cardstock, and let me share with you what those elements are. We'll need a piece of basic white thick for our card base, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. We're going to need a piece that is 3 3/4 by 5, and you can see I've already die cut the element that I'm using here, and this is the die from the Something Fancy set, and I've already die cut this. Okay, so we're also going to need a piece of cardstock that's 1/8 of an inch bigger, basic white, than the 3 3/4 by 4. So this 1/8 inch will take us to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, so those are the measurements for your basic white card pieces. Then we're going to need a piece of coordinating cardstock, and I'm choosing to go with Night of Navy, and this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Yes. 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Again, this is up a 1/4 inch from 4 by 5 1/4, so it'll be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We're also going to need some designer series paper, and I'm using the designer series paper from the Country Floral collection. Okay, Countryside Inn collection from the annual catalog. And as you can see, I've already cut some of it out. This is what I'm going to share with you part of today, how to quickly double your efficiency with die cutting. Okay, so I started out, I think I cut about 5 pieces. let's see, 1, 2. I've already got some pieces die cut for you. So that's 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to cut 2 more out. I want to have at least 8 pieces. I'm not sure if I'm going to need any more, but let's get started, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I want to have a little bit of a shadow or a highlight behind of my flower. So I'm going to grab my Boho, my Boho blue ink pad, and I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. And it's going to be very light because I want it to be just a hint of a shadow, okay? So let's see. Let's definitely stamp off a lot. Again, it's easier to add more than it is to take away, right? So I'm going to want a little bit of a shadow. And this is completely random. What I'm doing and how I'm doing this. Now it's getting a little dark, so I'm gonna pretty much stop with that in that particular area. But I did want to have a little bit of a shadow and a highlight behind what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so we have this. And now we can put this away. So the first thing, once we've got that, that's the first thing I'm going to do. And it's, like I said, it's very random. I'm trying to see if I have a little bit of a mist. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the next bigger piece of the basic white, which is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And this is where I'm going to get ready to stamp my sentiment. I want to make sure my sentiment is in place and I can see it. Now, I'm using the Happy Birthday from the Inked and Tiled bundle. Excuse me. And I'm going to put that, because I want my card to stay somewhat monochromatic, I'm just going to use the Boho blue. Just keep it all, well, no, I'm going to grab my Night of Navy. See, that's how I changed my mind. I'm going to grab my Night of Navy and use that to stamp my sentiment. Normally I would emboss, and you still can, but just for today I'm choosing to go a little bit simpler, okay? So again, I'm just going to line up my sentiment, make sure my projects are straight, or straight for me as I can get. Make sure these are going to be exactly how I want it, or close enough to it. All right. Should be about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Stamp that, make sure it's good. Perfect. And I'm just going to stamp my sentiment right in the middle. Pardon my head if my head gets in the frame. Okay. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. Perfect. All right. Now we can put this away. So the next thing we have to do now that we have our sentiment is we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay out our squares. Actually, before I do that, let me show you what I share with you, my tip. So I know that I need 2 more hexagon shapes, right? And I want to make sure that I have, so for efficiency purposes, I want to cut this out as quickly as possible. So I'm going to fold my cardstock or my designer paper, and I'm just going to put this right here, like so. And when I die cut, I'll have 2 of them, okay? Now the tip that I'm sharing with you with this one is just to make sure that when you die cut it this way, you have to ensure that you know that you want the reverse side to also be the one that has the stitching. the right side of the stitching. So just keep, that's a tip for you. You can definitely expedite your die cutting. And if you're just going to do basic white or anything like that, then it kind of doesn't really matter, right? But if you have a design on the other side, then you kind of just want to make sure that you have the side that you want to have the design, the stitching, that is the forefront of what it is you're looking for. Okay. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to grab my plates. And we're going to just go ahead and die cut 2 more of our hexagon shapes. Now, if my camera shakes, I apologize. All right. Another tip for die cutting with the Stampin' Cut mini embossing machine is you have to make sure that your layers, your sandwich, is kind of like in an E formation, right? So you have a little bit of separation between your base plate, your first cutting plate, and the top cutting plate, okay? So let's just get this layered on, and then we'll go ahead and we'll die cut them. Okay. And I'm going to use a piece of mint tape just because I want to make sure that the element is where I want it to die cut. And here we go. Send that baby right through the cutting machine. Okay. All right. Whoops. So now we have 2 more of our designer series paper cut. Now here's what I was telling you. So because it's this way and we folded it, so this first top sheet has the stitching, and when we cut again, we can see that this side will have the embossed stitching versus this side has the deboss, and this side now has the deboss. This side now has the deboss. So what I was saying is making sure that because you did this, the stitching is going to go on the top of whichever plate is facing that. Okay, so let's go ahead, put this away, and then let's get started assembling our card, because you guys, we are almost done with creating these cards. Now, the shape that I chose to use was the hexagon. That is the shape. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to layer our pieces. Kind of think about a pattern, however we want to do this, right? Just think about a little bit of a pattern, lay it out in our minds before we put any kind of glue on there. And I also put a piece of, I cut a piece of Boho blue cardstock, and I went ahead and I embossed that using the quatrefoil tile embossing folder. So I think this is kind of where I'm going with that. Right? And you can lay these out in any pattern that you want. Right? Like so. And like so. And once you're happy with what you have, then you can go ahead and lay it out or adhere it to the cardstock. Do I want this here or so? And again, you have options, so make sure before you glue anything down, everything is kind of sort of in the position that you want it to be in. Okay, so I think this is kind of where I want to go, so I'm going to go ahead, grab my liquid glue, and get to layering things down. All right, so here we go. I knew I wanted this first one in this corner, so I'm just going to lay this out right where I need for it to be, like so. Make sure it's even. Okay, and I know the same here. And again, making sure to keep somewhat of an even spacing. I want to have a little bit of a white border in between each, so that's why I'm making sure that I turn my cardstock where I need to turn the cardstock, and then making sure that I have a little bit of a border between each. Okay, now this card is fairly simple. It is, I don't want to say time consuming, but it does take some time, especially if you're going to cut more than one different pattern, or if you're using a bigger piece of cardstock as your base. So it might take a little bit longer depending on what you're doing and how many different prints you're going to use on your card. Okay. On this one, you might also want to use your silicone mat. I think I want this to pop up. Do I want this one to pop up? I definitely want to add one of them, have a little bit of a dimension to it. So I'm not sure whether the white or... No, I want that one here. See, even though I laid it out, I'm still changing my mind, right? All right, so here we go. I'm going to put this one here. Okay. Okay, and again, I'm just going to make sure that I have my spacing around my shape and shapes as I lay them out. Okay. This is next, and we know where we're going to put this because it's the only place for it to go, right? So we're going to do that. Make sure this is laid out properly as well. Liquid glue is definitely your friend in this particular card, this particular design, primarily, especially if you're wanting to make sure that things lay out where you want them to lay out. Okay, and then this is going to go like so. Okay. All right, so let's get this laid out. I was gonna pop it up. I still, in my heart, I wanna add a little bit of dimension on here. So I'm gonna find my glue dot, my dimensions. Here they are, and I'm just gonna add a couple of them. Yeah, making sure I put my dimensions on the right side. And yes, there is a right side when you emboss. There is a right and a wrong side, you guys. And well, not wrong. There is an embossed side and a debossed side. So you just want to make sure that the side that you want to feature, or that is more prominent, is the side that you are going to feature. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to just put this guy right in place, and I popped him up because I did want just a tad of dimension in this card. Okay, and now that we have that, we're going to put him here. Once you start building and laying out your shapes, then you definitely see your pattern and you know where and how things need to be added into the design, okay? So that is definitely another tip for you, is make sure you lay out your base shapes where you want them to be. There we go. And then we know this guy is going to go right here. Like so. All right, so I'm going to let that dry for a second, just so that when I turn it over to trim, nothing moves out of place, okay? So now I'm just going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to trim everything off. Okay. So you could do this with triangles. You could do this, we had the tailored tag punch, so you could do it with that, if you still have that tag. Any shaped punch you could really do this design with, okay? I'm not sure how circles would work, but I'm sure you could figure out a way to make it work. And so this is what our card would look like, you guys, so far. And then we're going to bring our base in, not the base, the white, that's our matte layer. And we had that white just so we could make sure that the sentiment came through. But you guys, here's another thing. You could actually use colored cardstock behind this, emboss it in white, or could have embossed it in white. You could have used or silver or whatever other color on that card base that you were using. Now my decision here is, do I want to pop this up, give this part a little bit of dimension, or, and it's not even an or for me because I'm going to do it all, I think. All right, so for today I'm just going to leave it. But here's what I was thinking. So you have the strips. So you could put foam strips around here and then strips here and pop that up. So then you'd have a little bit of a dimension here as well. Oh, every time I'm doing that now, I really want to do that. Sorry, you guys. I change my mind a lot. Designer's prerogative, of course. So we had the foam strips. And I'm going to go find my foam strips because that's what I want to use, is my foam strips. Here's some. Here are some foam strips. All right, so we're going to put foam strips just around the hexagon shape. Okay. And these should be flexible enough that all we're going to do is turn shape like so. Okay. May not be perfect, but I'm going to add that little foam strip around like so, and then like that. Okay. Put that back. And then I'm going to add some more foam tape around the rest of the design. I wanted to make sure that in my enthusiasm with adding dimensionals or foam tape, I did not, that I did not go overboard in terms of, you know, overshooting. So this is where I'm at here. That's one. That's two. And then I'm going to add a little bit here. Again, if you know anything about me and the foam, you know that having anything pop up is just not something I'm okay with, okay? So, or the indent when you touch on it, I'm not a big fan of that. So, I'm going to put a little piece here. And then we're going to put the rest of it right here. Okay. Good. So now I'm going to remove all of the backing from all of this. And then adhere it over our sentiment. Perfect. Love our foam strips. Oops. So what do you guys have planned for this beautiful day today? Well, it's beautiful because it's light out. It's still morning time here. I got up early today to shoot this video because the blog goes live and I wanted the video to be ready by the time the blog went live at 3. So that's kind of why I'm shooting so early, but it's beautiful. Here we go. Outstanding. And then we're going to bring in our Night of Navy, and then we're going to start layering. Perfect. And then lastly, our card base. Now, I've already added dimensionals, but my question to myself is, do I want to add more dimensionals to this card? Sometimes I forget I gotta mail these things, right? All right, so we're not gonna add any dimensionals or dimension to this. We're not gonna add any more. So we're just gonna keep our glue dot out. Or not our glue dot, our liquid adhesive. Okay, we're just gonna add to our card base like so. Perfect. All right, now the other thing, the last thing I did is I had added a, not the last thing because we still have to add a little bit of bling, because you know my name is Caron and I add bling to almost everything, which is why making masculine cards is sometimes a challenge for me, because I do like to add bling to my card projects. So I did a piece of ribbon, and this is from the In Color, the Boho Blue textured ribbon. Okay. And I use my bow maker to make my bows. Y'all know I'm bow challenged. So, and all I'm going to do is, I'm going to add this. Well, where do you think we should add it? Right here? I'm going to, of course, this is going to be trimmed. Well, that might be cool, just to put it on top of the embossed piece of what basic white cardstock. That might be cool. And because I think it might be cool, that's what I'm going to do. So here's my glue dots. I'm going to add my glue dot to my ribbon, and then add my ribbon to my card. Then I'm going to trim my tails. Like so. And then lastly, we are going to add some bling. Now these came from this little bling pack that I'm using came in one of the paper pumpkin kits, and for the life of me I don't remember the name of them, so I don't have that to share with you. And for me, placement of my embellishments, it is truly a random thing, truly. Just kind of where I feel it, you know. Oops, something happened there. It's just kind of where I feel it, and I try to keep the random odd number going. And so there you have it. This is the card that we created today for the Stampin' with Friends Shapes blog hop today. I hope you guys enjoyed this card. I did create a template or a sample, if I can find my card, to show you the one I created before. Excuse me. So of course I try to create samples. So here's the other one I did. And this one was definitely with the inked and tiled paper, the designer paper. I did not emboss, so it has a little bit more texture with each of them. Now, if you don't have the something fancy dies or a stamp set, several years ago, Stampin' Up has a hexagon punch. If you have that punch, you can recreate this card using that punch. Okay, your size elements might be different, so you might have to choose something else. So this is my now, and I wowed it up just a little bit with my embossing and my layering. Thank you guys for stopping by in the craft room, spending a little time in the craft room with me. Let me just share with you what activities we've got coming up. We already had the roll of the die last week. Don't forget to join me for our Kit Together activity. And mystery stamping is coming up as well. So you guys, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love to have you continue to come back and watch the show. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.